And
Okay, my uh, my name is Daniel Garcia, and basically I'm with National Families and Union for Honor and Justice. And why don't you start off, brother, by introducing yourself, the title, profession, or organization that you work with?
Yeah, my name is Charles Dubois, and I'm a member of Labor Black and Brown. It's a class struggle revolutionary organization, and we got our start. Actually, we left the Oscar Grant Committee back in 2010 of November, and we've existed to popularize the idea of political strikes against police brutality and the necessity of organizing labor black defense guards to stop the police.
How did you get involved in organizing and around your community?
Well, that starts back in 1969 or 68, I suppose. Uh, which brings me, I looked at your mural of all the victims since what year?
96, the
Yes.
Stone Life Wall you're talking about?
Yes, and it seemed to me all those names I was reading had gone back to 1970 and 68 from what I remembered. And it's amazing how much police killings have been going on for such a long time. But there was Leonard Deadweiler. He was the fellow that was shot by the cops in 65 and the start of the Watch Rebellion. And then there was the one I remember as a young man, Jerry Lee Amy. He was a Vietnam vet. This was 1971. They shot him 26 times, 20 some odd times. And this is the day when cops had 6 shooters. So that's 12, and then the shotgun. And they accused him of, they couldn't find a gun that they shot him for, but they found some plastic fragments and deduced that, well, this was probably a water pistol which he had was waving around when the cops saw him, and so that's why they shot him, and the impact of the bullets, fragmented the gun or the water pistol. So they always make up a gun or not a gun or some kind of jive reason to justify the fact that actually the police cannot stop killing black and brown youth. It's like institutional racism. It's part of this system's guts. These police learn it at school when they're young children, and then they get these jobs, and the jobs just reinforces whatever backward consciousness that America has given them. So we have to fundamentally revolutionize. We need a revolutionary change in America to transform people's consciousness, and the cops' consciousness is not going to be changed. We're going to have to knock them upside the head. It's us that need to transform ourselves, and we can do it.
What are your views on the U.S. government, the state, the current administration, and its role in the world as well, and the role of the police in America, society?
Well, we're living in interesting times, dangerous times. The United States is losing its position as #1 imperialist power. We can expect domestic consequences to be, they start taking it out more on us, and if one can imagine how bad that can be. We wonder, but it can get worse than it already is, and I never thought it would get this bad. Domestically, one of the reasons we name our organization Labor Black and Brown is that is the Achilles heel we feel to American capitalism, to destroying it. The same oppression that they put on black and brown people, we happen to occupy key sectors of the industry and economy, and can shut this place down. And so we're looking to organize all the proletariat, but focus behind the black and brown proletariat to basically bridge consciousness. The black and brown workers tend to be more aware of police brutality and the need to change it, and the fact that there's something really wrong with the system, and we need to get that advanced consciousness, as backward as we might put it, but nonetheless, in America, people don't understand something's wrong. That's advanced thinking. And we need to find those workers, those community people, and band them together. And in struggle, the white workers that come along with us, they'll learn in struggle. That's the best kind of education, is white workers learning on the side of black and brown workers, defending ourselves against cop attacks, fighting on picket lines, joining us in strikes, us joining them in strikes, and no longer is us and them, it's a we. So the idea behind this transit shutdown was simply to try to, as much as possible, popularize this idea. And Ms. Danica Chapman, the reason we responded to her call, the deadline was, quite frankly, not realistic from the terms I'm used to dealing with this. And not that I've gone on shutdown binges, but basically you need more than 2 months advance notice. But nonetheless, she was asking for the right thing. And what we've been noticing, there's been a lot of black families, all families, looking for working class help, working class solutions. There was Uncle Bobby and Jack Bryson who looked up the LWU, and the LWU shut down the ports of Oakland in October 2010. And then the Riveras and the relatives of Brother Luther Brown, they called for general strike. They weren't able to shut down institutions, but they shut down a couple of banks and kind of made the DA upset. But it was a militant, mature demonstration that gave us, we kind of followed that kind of template in terms of how we wanted to look, okay? And so when people are asking for strikes, and if they don't quite understand what it takes, well, the best way for that education to occur is for us to make the best try possible. So we talked to several dozens of community workers, not enough. We talked to a lot of other community workers, a lot of other workers, not enough. So anybody who's listening to this and watched what happened and listened to Nika, if you're trying to get a work shutdown, you don't want to do it like we did. You want to learn from our mistakes and how to do it the right way and the best way. So we want to have political strikes. We need to maybe get together with the Blueford family and with the unions that are sympathetic to that, and figure out what forces we have right there, and figure, well, we need to get the transit workers, and we delegate ourselves to talk to these other workers until we have enough of a movement that we can call a date. And then it becomes a matter of the movement sort of self-organizing itself around the question of having a definite general strike, which would free up the forces in the ghetto and the barrio that have been looking to get out and fight capitalism. When they're busy with the workers that are moving for a general strike, they haven't got enough cops to deal with that. And so we're looking to change the character of the movement by saying to the whole movement, whatever demonstration we're going to have about police brutality or somebody being killed, that's a shutdown issue. We want to get all the workers and all the people in the community out for that. The stuff that's going to happen on the 31st for Alan Buford, that's a shutdown issue. Not on the 31st, but I think if everybody starts talking about, you know what, we need to start shutting down industry and the workers need to start striking, we'll popularize that idea, and maybe independent of us, some workers will have a strike somewhere. But this idea needs to be getting out in terms of the working class and the black and brown community doing self-organization and organizing our own defense, learning from the Panthers, learning their mistakes, learning their successes, and somehow combining picket line tactics, flying squad tactics with urban guerrilla tactics. But somebody's going to figure this out when those heads put those ideas together. And we hope this demonstration has got people thinking on a positive note about how you can do very great things with small numbers if you catch the ruling class by surprise. And a warning on that. We caught them by surprise on July 16th. Okay? So this is not to say don't try this at home, but basically next time we're going to have to up our game. And so people that want work stoppages, we encourage you to go on with it, but let's make sure we plan it out and get our allies in line first. And maybe we'll actually have some political strikes. And I know Mr. Chapman will be happy about that. I know all the supporters will be happy about that. And we'll be on the front lines trying to organize that. So we wish everybody that likes this idea to get out there and try it. And we'd love to help you out.
Okay, on top of that, my brother, what does all unions and everyone else need to know about human rights in your opinion?
Our union people, well, let me look at it like this. We have a lot of, the American working class is diverse, okay? And quite frankly, we have a lot of Archie Bunkers who kind of don't give a care, and they think, what the hell are we complaining about? We thought you guys took care of that in the 60s. Okay, that's a lot of consciousness to get bridged. In fact, that section of the working class, we're probably not going to win over. But if we can get a strong minority of 15, 20% of the white workers putting their lot in with the black and brown workers, and the rest of the minority workers, and the women and the youth, okay, it won't look like a race thing. And so these Archie Bunkers, I think they might just watch. And actually, a little story. We stopped the Klan in Detroit in '79 when they were talking about coming into downtown Detroit to celebrate the murder of 5 communists that they murdered in Greensboro the week before that. It was all on the TV, the murder, everything else. And they were coming to Detroit to celebrate it. We had to oppose the Democratic Party administration, the Coleman Young, the labor bureaucracy, and we organized the grassroots labor black defense and rally against the Klan. And I had to go back into work into midnight shift the day after, well, the night. The rally was Saturday afternoon and ended at 8 o'clock. I had to go into work Sunday morning at 11 o'clock that night. And I was in skilled trades, and it's mostly white workers on the midnight shift because we were doing the maintenance and stuff. And I'm kind of apprehensive because the guy I worked with thought the Goldwater would save the country and stuff like this. And I walked in, and they gave me a standing ovation. And what was funny about that, I looked at it, and of course we haven't got these guys won over. But most white people, they don't like being racist or don't think they're racist. And so the thing we have on our side is when we make the class struggle in a certain sense a moral issue with these people, you're not a racist, anti-working class person, are you? I mean, they're not going to want to be that kind of person, and they'll kind of like, they'll kind of want to be on our side if we win. And so that's my formula, is we have to be determined and show them that the working class and some of your more enlightened white brothers are with us. If you don't want to get in the way, just stand back and watch. We'll be happy with that. But it's about the working class learning and class struggle, and that's why we direct a lot of our demands toward the working class. We think that the working class ought to organize labor, black and brown tribunals. Get delegated representatives from the churches, from community institutions, and from the unions, and put together real tribunals that are delegated and responsible. And then we have to figure out who carries out the sentence. But one thing at a time, but also everything at once. As we get new problems by solving old ones, we just deal with the new ones. And let me tell you, and I want to end with this, all the great problems that we're going to have as we develop the movement, and it's about developing the movement predicated on what we have lost and what we won. But every time we win something, it gets more complicated, and the demands on us are great. But it's like I say, those are the kind of problems we'd rather have than nobody to talk to and nobody to tell us we're doing wrong.
So what you're basically saying is that everybody needs to unite.
Behind a class struggle program, I'm guided by the notion that if we're in retreat, if we're on attack, if we're trying to just gather forces, what is the best way to get the multiracial working class together and fighting for itself as a whole? You see, so we don't want you to, so we program against this unity and program for the kind of struggle that can unite the people. And so there's no template, rather there's no written down formula as such. We have to use our brain, okay? And actually the working class, when it's in motion, it really doesn't like to offend anybody. It really is careful. Like somebody's got to complain about something. Really, the working class, when it's in revolutionary motion, it's a different animal than the working class we're used to. And actually, when we look at our own movement and see the sacrifice, if we transplant that to a workers' movement, that's what it looks like. People that are